Dear students, today we are going to learn about a banquet setup which is to be considered as one of the basic, and the name of this banquet setup is called theater style banquet setup. Now there is one question that arises why it is called theater style banquet setups. It is called theater style banquet setups as you can see in the picture or in the diagram also, all the chairs have been aligned in the same format. Generally the format that we generally find in the cinema hall, in the cineplex, or maybe in the auditoriums. So this kind of an setup is called the theater style banquet setups, and if you see precisely, all the chairs have been aligned in a particular row, and next to it, just behind to it, there is second row. Now moving to the definition also, again I am repeating the same. It is called theater style setups because here all the sitting area or maybe all the chairs are aligned in the same format as we find in the theaters or cinema hall. Here chairs are aligned in a consecutive straight rows. So this makes it different from the other type of an setup. Now let's talk about some of the positive aspects of this setup. Positive aspects, I mean to say some of the advantages of having such kind of an setup. The first advantage is all the participants or the guests are going to face towards to the front. Face towards to the front means they are going to face towards to the front area where maybe podium will be there, maybe small stage will be there, or maybe head table will be there from where the person has been giving the presentations, or maybe any function has been going on the stage. Second, very important aspect of this kind of setup is this setup is used when we have maximum number of invitees, when we have maximum number of participants or the guest, because by using this kind of an setup, maximum number of people can be accommodated in a banquet hall or maybe in a banquet room. Now, after discussing the positive aspects of theater style banquet setups, we must also be aware about some of the negative aspects of it. As we can see in this kind of an setups, generally if more than 2 to 3 chairs are there in one particular row, we will be finding that audience are sitting very close to nearby, and if while or maybe in approaching to the sitting area, it becomes quite very difficult for the participants to either enter or exit the sitting area. So this can be considered as one of the disadvantages. Second is we have to keep some passages free in between so that we can be able to ease the movement of the guest, and that passage is called the LA. So LA also occupies some of the areas of the banquet hall. Moving to the third point, like if the guest has been sitting by occupying the seats, then there would be no provisions if the guest wants to write down or note down anything, because table we are not providing in this kind of an setup. Next to it, if any food and beverage is supposed to be served, then it becomes very difficult even for the guest to carry that food and beverage item. So generally the pre-plated food and beverage is supposed to be avoided when such kind of a sitting area is used. Last but not the least is here, as all the guests has been sitting in a particular row, so there would be very least possibility of any kind of an interactions between the first row and the guest who have been sitting behind that row. So between the rows the interaction of the guest is very less. Now, if we talk about the overall aspects of it, like where this kind of an setup is mostly being used. So this kind of an setup is mostly used in auditoriums. It can be used for any kind of a meeting or any kind of an annual journal meetings. And this setups can also be used when any presentation has been going on the stage, where the guests are just going to listen and view that things which has already been going on the stage. Maybe this particular setup is also applicable where any product launches has been going on the stage.